Let me hit you with something that might sting a little. The reason you're not growing on social media isn't because you're not talented. It's not because you don't have the right equipment or some expensive studio. And it's definitely not because you're not meant for this. No, the real reason: you've been chasing perfection instead of progress. You've been so obsessed with putting out the perfect reel, the perfect edit, the perfect caption, that you're missing the point. The point isn't perfection. The point is connection. The point is consistency. The point is effort. The point is impact. You want to grow fast. You want explosive social media growth. Then stop trying to look perfect and start showing up real. Because here's the truth: people don't follow perfect. They follow real. They follow you when you stop pretending to be someone you think they'll like and start showing them who you actually are. They follow you when you stop being another clone on the internet and finally step into your own voice. You've been delaying your own greatness, waiting for this imaginary version of yourself to appear, the one who speaks perfectly, never stumbles, always knows what to say. And guess what? That person doesn't exist. Not even for the biggest creators. They just got comfortable posting anyway, even when it wasn't right, even when it wasn't polished, even when it scared the hell out of them. Social media is a momentum game. You don't go viral because you posted once and it was perfect. You go viral because you posted every damn day, even when it wasn't perfect, even when it was messy, even when it didn't feel good, and you built a wave. You built trust. You built presence. You built you. You want to know the fastest way to kill your own dreams online? Wait, keep waiting. Wait until the camera's better. Wait until you've figured it out. Wait until you're more confident. Wait until your voice sounds better. Wait until you can afford a better mic, better lights, better edits. And while you're waiting, someone out there is building. Someone who doesn't have half your talent. Someone who's nervous too. Someone who's figuring it out as they go, but they're doing it anyway. And guess what? They're winning. They're not winning because they're better than you. They're winning because they moved. They acted, they executed, they didn't wait for permission. They gave themselves permission, and now they're rising while you're still thinking. Thinking doesn't change your life. Action does. I'm not saying don't plan. I'm not saying don't care. I'm saying post the damn video. Upload the content. Record the story. Show up when you don't feel ready, because that's exactly how you get ready. You think confidence comes from preparation, but it doesn't. Confidence comes from motion, from putting yourself out there again and again until your fear gets bored and stops showing up. Let me tell you something nobody told me when I started. Your first 100 videos will suck. Your first podcast episode will be awkward. Your first few posts will be ignored. People will scroll past them. Some might laugh. Some might criticize. Some might say, "Who does this person think they are?" And I want you to understand this. That's part of the process. You don't skip that part. You don't get to fast forward. You go through it. You embrace it. You let those rough reps be the thing that sharpens your voice, strengthens your presence, builds your confidence. Every master you follow, they all started terrible. The difference is they weren't afraid to be seen starting small. Most people never win because they're too embarrassed to be seen trying. But let me ask you, who's winning in that scenario? The person who's getting laughed at for trying, or the one doing nothing because they're afraid of judgment? Growth comes from courage, not comfort. And the truth is, the world doesn't need more perfect people pretending to be something they're not. The world needs you, the flawed version, the real version, the one with a story, the one with some pain, the one with a message. You don't need to have 1 million followers to start impacting people. You just need to show up and speak from the heart. Even if one person hears you and feels seen, that's the start. That's how it builds. You win one heart at a time. You post one imperfect video at a time, and you get better because you're showing up. Success on social media isn't about being viral. It's about being valuable. You become valuable by being consistent, by being real, by being in motion while everyone else is overthinking. And eventually, motion becomes mastery. Discipline becomes momentum. Vulnerability becomes power. And let's talk about fear, because I know that's what's really stopping you. Fear of judgment, fear of being misunderstood, fear of looking stupid, fear of failing in public. But let me tell you what should scare you more than that. Regret. Regret should scare you more than embarrassment. Regret should scare you more than low views or negative comments. The regret of knowing you had something to say, something to give, something to change lives, and you let fear stop you. You think you're playing it safe by waiting, but playing it safe is the most dangerous game of all. Because every day you don't post, someone else does. Every day you stay silent, someone else speaks. Every day you wait for perfect, someone else takes your spot. You've got this false idea that you need permission. You don't. You don't need someone to tell you your voice matters. You don't need 1 million followers to be a leader. You don't need validation to be valuable. You just need urgency. Because urgency is the difference between average and extraordinary. Urgency gets you in the game when everyone else is on the sidelines. Urgency stops you from waiting until you're 40, 50, 60 to realize you were capable this whole time. You've got to move now, not when it's perfect, not when it feels comfortable, not when everyone supports you, now, because this is the moment, right here, right now. You've been given a gift, your voice, your story, your energy, and if you sit on that gift because you're too afraid to be imperfect, then you're robbing the world of your impact. You're not just growing a page. You're building a brand, you're building a presence, you're building a legacy, and that legacy is built post by post, video by video, story by story. Nobody's coming to save you. The algorithm isn't coming to find you. You need to find it. You need to feed it with consistency. You need to tell the world who you are over and over again until they start listening and then never stop. Explosive growth doesn't come from one viral post. It comes from 100 invisible ones before it. It comes from grit, from patience, from passion, from repetition. You've got to be willing to work in the dark before the spotlight ever finds you, and when it does, you'll be ready. Not because you waited until you were perfect, but because you were willing to be imperfect in front of the world long enough to become undeniable. So today, stop overthinking, stop waiting, stop hiding. Start posting, start speaking, start moving, start building, not perfect, but real, not flawless, but fearless, not polished, but powerful. You don't need to be perfect to explode. You just need to start and never stop. Everybody wants the formula. Everybody wants to know the secret to blowing up on social media. They think there's a hack, a trick, a strategy they haven't learned yet. They think the answer is in some algorithm setting, some camera lens, some editing app, some influencer's paid course. But it's not. You want to know the real formula. It's not sexy. It's not flashy, but it works every single time. It's consistency. That's it. That's the truth. Consistency beats perfection every single time. Now, I know what you're thinking, but I want to make my content better. Of course you do. We all do. But if you're waiting until everything is perfect before you start posting, you're going to miss your window. You're going to waste months, maybe years of potential momentum because you're trying to make something flawless instead of making something real. Something raw, something now. Social media doesn't reward the person who waits for perfection. It rewards the person who shows up every day messy, unpolished, human, and just refuses to go away. The person who posts when they're tired. The person who posts when they're doubting themselves. The person who posts when the last 3 videos flopped. That's the person who wins, because let me tell you something that most people don't want to hear. Going viral isn't a strategy, it's a side effect. It's what happens after months of staying consistent when no one was watching. It's what happens when you've posted 100 times and nobody cared, but you posted the 101st time anyway. Consistency is the currency of social growth. You keep depositing 1 video, 1 caption, 1 reel, 1 comment, and eventually the compound effect kicks in. And that's when the world takes notice. But most people never reach that point. You know why? Because they're too busy chasing perfection. They spend 5 hours editing 1 video. They rewrite the caption a dozen times. They shoot it, delete it, shoot it again. Then they doubt it, save it as a draft, and never post it. And that cycle is poison. It convinces you that your hesitation is wisdom, when it's actually fear in disguise. You want to grow, you've got to make consistency your identity, not just a strategy, not just a tactic, an identity. You've got to be the person who shows up no matter what, who posts even when it's uncomfortable, who creates even when it's inconvenient. That's the separator. That's the trait that turns a nobody into a household name. Because let me tell you something, there are thousands of people more talented than you, more polished than you, better looking than you, but talent doesn't win here. Consistency does. The world doesn't reward the person with the best voice, it rewards the person who speaks the most often, who tells their story the most, who keeps showing up until people have no choice but to listen. You want to know why consistency is more powerful than perfection? Because consistency builds trust. Every time you show up, people begin to expect you. They begin to rely on you. They see your face, your name, your content, and it starts to feel familiar. And in a noisy world, familiarity is power. Familiarity is what turns a random viewer into a follower, a fan, a supporter, a customer. You don't earn that with one perfect video. You earn that through repetition, through commitment, through staying in the game long after others have quit. And let's talk about something real for a second. Consistency is hard. It's not glamorous. You don't always feel inspired. You're not always in the mood to create. Sometimes life is heavy. Sometimes your mental health is off. Sometimes the numbers are depressing. Sometimes you feel like nobody's listening. That's when it counts the most. That's when consistency becomes your superpower, because everyone can post when they're fired up. Everyone can show up when things are going well. But it takes a different kind of hunger to stay consistent when everything in you wants to quit. That's when the separation happens. That's when the growth kicks in. That's when you go from average to unstoppable. Most people treat consistency like a chore. The greats treat it like oxygen. They don't ask, should I post today? They just do it. They don't wait for motivation. They operate on discipline. They don't care if it's the best video they've ever made. They just make sure it's done and out into the world. Because they know it's not about being perfect, it's about being present. And the truth is, the more consistent you are, the better you get. You want to improve your storytelling, tell a story every day. You want to get better on camera, press record every single day. You want your edits to look smoother, post one video every day and watch how quickly your skills evolve. Consistency doesn't just build growth, it builds mastery. It sharpens you, it reveals who you are, and it creates results that perfection could never touch. See, perfection is rooted in fear. It's about control. It's about managing how you're perceived. But consistency, that's about courage. That's about stepping into the arena over and over again, knowing you might fail, knowing you might get criticized, but doing it anyway. And let's not sugarcoat it. You will get judged. You will get overlooked. You will get dismissed, mocked, unfollowed, unfavored by the algorithm. But none of that can stop someone who keeps showing up. The person who keeps planting seeds will eventually reap a harvest. It's inevitable. The only question is, will you keep planting long enough to see it? There are people watching your content right now who haven't liked or commented once, but they're watching. They're noticing, they're waiting to see if you're serious, and when they see you posting day after day, showing up week after week, that's when they start to believe in you. That's when they hit the follow button. That's when they reach out and say, I've been watching you for months. Thank you. But that moment never comes if you quit after a few weeks. That moment never happens if you're too busy trying to craft the perfect post instead of just posting. Because here's the raw truth. Your content doesn't need to be perfect, it just needs to be there. It needs to exist. It needs to be seen. It needs to be felt. And you only get there by being consistent. Don't confuse progress with perfection. You don't need your next post to be your best post, you just need it to be your next. Stack the bricks, one at a time, build the wall, one post at a time. Don't aim for a masterpiece, aim for momentum. Consistency creates rhythm, and rhythm creates power. When you're consistent, you stop thinking so much, you stop doubting, you start trusting yourself, you move faster, you create from your gut instead of your head. That's when your real voice starts to shine through. That's when people start resonating. That's when your audience grows from numbers to community. Do you know what makes people trust you online? Seeing you every day. Watching you evolve in real time. They don't just follow the growth of your content, and they follow the growth of you. And that's magnetic. That's what turns strangers into supporters. That's what builds a real brand. A loyal following, a movement. So stop trying to be perfect. Be consistent, be relentless, be real. Your best post might be the one you haven't made yet. Your most impactful message might be the one you're too scared to share. And the only way to find it, the only way to get there is to keep showing up. Your next post doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be posted. The next reel, the next video, the next idea, none of it matters if it never leaves your phone. Stop hoarding drafts. Stop over-editing. Stop doubting. Start executing. Start releasing. Start trusting. Because when you post consistently, something happens inside you. You become dependable, not just to your audience, but to yourself. You build integrity, you follow through, you honor your word, and that self-trust bleeds into everything else, into your work, your relationships, your mindset. It becomes who you are. You don't need more talent. You don't need more ideas. You just need more reps, more imperfect posts, more consistent days. That's where the magic is. That's where the growth lives. That's how every successful creator you admire got to where they are, not by being perfect, but by being consistent when no one was clapping. And here's the thing. Once consistency becomes part of your identity, results become inevitable. Growth becomes inevitable. Success becomes inevitable, because you're not leaving it up to chance anymore. You're creating the conditions where opportunity has no choice but to find you. You're not trying to be a one-hit wonder. You're building a legacy, and legacies aren't built in moments, they're built in motion. Show up, post, serve, repeat every single day, no matter what. You've got this, not because you're perfect, but because you're consistent. You can try to be perfect, polished, calculated, clever, or cool, but none of that beats being real. You want to grow on social media. You want to build a brand that lasts. You want a following that doesn't just scroll by, but stops and listens. Then hear this clearly. Authenticity wins every single time. The people you see blowing up online aren't winning because they're perfect. They're winning because they're transparent, they're honest, they're vulnerable, they're themselves, and that's what people connect with. That's what makes people stop scrolling. That's what creates trust. You're not just trying to gain followers, you're trying to earn belief. And you don't earn that by pretending to be something you're not. You earn it by letting people see who you really are. That means the cracks, the flaws, the mess-ups, the lessons, the emotion. It means letting go of the act and telling the truth. Social media is oversaturated with filters, edits, highlight reels, and fake personas. But there's still one thing nobody can replicate: your story, your energy, your truth. You don't need to try to be different. Just be real, because no one else can be that. There's a reason people follow someone who stumbles over their words but speaks from the heart. There's a reason a grainy, unedited video of someone sharing their pain can get more views than a Hollywood quality production. It's because we're wired for connection. We don't follow polish, we follow truth. And authenticity is the one thing that will never go out of style. The mistake most people make when trying to grow online is they study trends and copy tactics, but they forget that the greatest asset they have is their own voice. Your voice matters, your experience matters, your background, your struggles, your breakthroughs, they matter. Not just because they're unique, but because someone out there needs them. Someone out there is living through the pain you've already overcome. Someone out there is searching for proof that they can make it too, and your voice might be that proof. But if you keep hiding behind perfection, if you keep trying to present a version of yourself that you think people want to see, then the people who actually need to hear your real message will never find it. You're not for everyone, and that's your power. You don't need the approval of millions. You just need the alignment of the right ones. You need your tribe, your community, the ones who see your face and say, I don't know what it is about them, but I trust them. And that trust comes from authenticity. It comes from showing up with nothing to prove, from speaking the truth even when it's uncomfortable, from not being afraid to say, hey, I don't have it all figured out, but I'm still here. I'm still showing up. I'm still learning. Because people don't relate to perfection. They relate to process. They relate to progress. They relate to pain, to truth, to transformation. When you open up, when you let your guard down and let people see you, that's when impact happens. The reality is, most people are faking their confidence. Most people are wearing a mask, posting what they think will go viral instead of what actually lives in their soul. But here's the problem with that. When you win pretending to be someone else, you lose the moment you stop pretending. It's unsustainable. You'll burn out trying to maintain an image. You'll grow an audience that doesn't even know you. And you'll feel more alone the bigger you get because the version they follow isn't even real. That's not winning, that's prison. But when you win by being you, when you grow by telling the truth, by being raw, by being bold enough to share your scars and your healing, you become unshakable. Because now, no one can take it from you. Because it wasn't built on lies. It wasn't built on gimmicks. It was built on truth, on purpose, on you. And when you build that kind of brand, the kind that's rooted in authenticity, the growth is slower at first, but it's deeper. It's real, it lasts. You won't need to keep up an image because you'll just be living your life and sharing it. You'll attract the right people, the ones who don't just follow you, but believe in you. The ones who will share your message, support your mission, and ride with you for years, not weeks. That's the kind of growth that matters. You don't need to go viral to change lives. You don't need 1 million followers to make $1 million impact. You just need to be real. You just need to get honest with yourself. What do you care about? What lights your fire? What have you survived? What truth are you afraid to speak but know the world needs to hear? Say that, post that, because that's the stuff that breaks through. That's the stuff people don't scroll past. That's the stuff that changes lives, and it starts with changing yours. The moment you stop chasing perfection and start chasing purpose, your entire presence shifts. You speak different, you post different, you attract different, because you're no longer trying to impress, you're trying to impact. And impact doesn't require a script, it requires sincerity. Let them see you before you're ready. Let them hear you when you're still figuring it out. Let them walk with you through the mess, the rebuild, the healing, the pursuit. That's what builds community. That's what builds loyalty. That's what makes your content matter. Every person you admire online didn't blow up just because they had perfect editing or catchy music. They blew up because they made people feel something, and that kind of power only comes from truth. So stop looking sideways. Stop comparing your story to someone else's chapter. Stop copying people you don't even know, because you were never meant to blend in. You were born to stand out. And the only way to stand out in today's world is to be authentically you. The world doesn't need another highlight reel. It needs someone who's willing to get on camera and say, hey, here's what I'm learning, here's where I failed, here's what I'm struggling with, and here's why I'm not quitting. That is what we need more of. That's what cuts through the noise. That's what breaks the algorithm. That's what gets shared. Not because it's trendy, but because it's real. And let me remind you of something: your authenticity is your brand. You're not selling a product. You're not selling an image. You're showing people what it looks like to be fully yourself. And the more you step into that, the more powerful your content becomes. That means posting the unfiltered story. That means showing up when your makeup isn't done, when your voice is cracking, when your heart is heavy, and just speaking from that place. Because that place is sacred. That's where impact lives. That's where freedom is found when you stop trying to be accepted and start being honest. You want explosive growth? Start being explosive in your truth. Start being unapologetic about your passion. Start being brave enough to say what most people won't. That's how movements are born. That's how revolutions begin. Not from perfection, from people telling the truth out loud and refusing to stay quiet about it. Don't let fear rob you of your realness. Don't let pressure make you a performer. Don't let the algorithm dilute your identity. Be consistent, yes. Be strategic, sure. But above all, be honest. Be transparent, be human, because people don't connect with content, they connect with people, and people want to see the fire behind the face. The fight behind the voice, the tears behind the strength. They want to know you're real, they want to know they're not alone, and when they see that in you when you give them the permission to be themselves, too, they'll follow you forever. Not because you're perfect, but because you're proof that real still wins. So don't edit yourself out of your own message. Don't water down your personality. Don't hide your scars. That's the stuff that makes you you. That's the stuff that builds legacy. That's the stuff that explodes brands, not just by attracting views, but by transforming lives. You were never meant to be perfect. You were meant to be real, and real always wins. Everybody's waiting, everybody's sitting on something, a video, a post, a message, a dream, all because they're trying to make it perfect. You've got folders full of drafts, scripts, clips, captions. All of it just sitting there unfinished, unpublished, unused. Why? Because it's not ready, not good enough, and not perfect. But let me tell you the truth that nobody told you growing up. Done is better than perfect. Because perfect doesn't exist. Perfect is a lie that keeps you stuck. A ghost you keep chasing that's keeping you from greatness. Every second you delay posting that content, every day you tell yourself not yet. Someone else is passing you. Not because they're better, not because they're smarter, but because they pressed publish, because they got it done. Success doesn't reward the most perfect, it rewards the most consistent, the most courageous, the most committed, and commitment looks like posting when it's uncomfortable, uploading when it's not quite polished, sharing when your voice still shakes. You don't need perfection to make an impact. You just need action. You're overthinking everything, the background noise, the lighting, the way your voice sounds, the little stutter, the filler words. You're critiquing yourself into paralysis. And meanwhile, someone with half your talent is out there making noise, getting better, gaining attention, building a brand because they have one thing you don't. They finish what they start. You don't become excellent by preparing endlessly, you become excellent by executing relentlessly. You learn by doing, you get better by putting yourself out there again and again and again. You don't grow by standing in front of the mirror rehearsing 100 takes. You grow by posting that first awkward video. You grow by stumbling publicly, learning from the feedback, and coming back the next day sharper. Done is momentum, done is movement, done is progress, and you know what momentum creates: confidence. You think confidence is something you wait for, something you get after you're perfect, but it doesn't work like that. Confidence is something you build, and it's built through repetition, through motion, through proof. Every time you finish a post and share it with the world, even if it scares you, you become stronger. Every time you override the fear and say, "It's not perfect, but it's me and it's ready," you build self-trust. And self-trust is a superpower, because when you trust yourself to deliver, no matter what, you become unshakable. You're not behind. You're just over-editing your potential into invisibility. You've got something powerful inside of you, but it's locked in your hard drive, trapped in your drafts, buried under perfectionism, and that's not fair to you. That's not fair to the people you're meant to impact. Someone out there is waiting on the message you're afraid to share. Someone needs that post you're second guessing, that story you're holding back because you think it's not professional enough, that message you think is too small, too messy, too unfinished. But to them, it could be everything. It could be the thing that makes them feel seen, understood, alive again. And here's the crazy part. Most of the content that goes viral isn't perfect. It's relatable. It's raw. It's real. It's someone stumbling through their truth and posting it anyway. It's someone showing up with courage instead of polish. It's someone who understands that the message is more important than the presentation. If people wanted perfect, they'd watch Hollywood movies. What they want is you, unfiltered, present, vulnerable, because that's where trust is built. And trust is the currency of social media. That's what builds connection. That's what builds community. That's what makes your brand undeniable. You don't need more equipment. You don't need another course. You don't need a better microphone or a perfect strategy. You just need to start. Start messy, start scared, start uncertain, but for the love of your future, start. Every time you post, you create. Every time you create, you grow. And every time you grow, you get closer to the person you were born to be. But you don't get to skip the messy middle. You don't get to skip being a beginner. You don't get to fast forward to mastery. You've got to earn that with every imperfect post, with every moment of courage. With every time you tell the fear to sit down and you take the mic. You don't become great by waiting for greatness to knock. You become great by knocking the rust off through repetition. You want explosive growth. Then post explosively, fearlessly, relentlessly, flood the internet with your voice, with your message, with your value. You want to master the algorithm, master discipline. The algorithm rewards action. Not perfection. The thing that's stopping you isn't the algorithm. It's not the audience. It's not the market. It's not the tech. It's you. It's the belief that what you have to say isn't good enough yet. That you're not good enough yet. That if you're not perfect, people won't take you seriously. But let me ask you something. How seriously are they taking you right now while you're waiting? You think silence is safe. But silence is invisible. Done is loud. Done is momentum. Done gets feedback. Done builds skill. Done creates connection. Perfection is procrastination with a pretty face. It looks noble. It looks responsible. But it's just fear in disguise. Fear wearing a suit and tie. Fear pretending it's just trying to be excellent. But excellence is born from execution, not hesitation. The top creators, they didn't get there by hiding in the lab for 5 years. They got there by posting before they felt ready. They weren't the best, they were the most visible. They figured it out in public. They embarrassed themselves, they got roasted, they learned, and they kept going. Because they understood the power of done, the discipline of next, the mindset of keep moving. Your dream is being delayed by your own demand for perfection. The biggest risk isn't that you'll post something imperfect. The biggest risk is that you'll never post at all, that you'll spend so long trying to get it right that you never get it out, and the world never hears your voice. That's the real tragedy. That's the regret that'll eat you alive in 10 years. So here's what I want you to do. Stop deleting, stop doubting, stop tweaking the same post for 5 days straight. Post it, let it live, let it fly, and let the market give you feedback. Let the world sharpen you. Let the fire refine you. Every post you make is a brick in the wall. Some will hit, some won't, but they all matter. They all count. They all get you closer. The only posts that don't count, the ones you never make. The ones stuck in your notes, the ones that die in your drafts. If you want to be a content creator, be a finisher. Finish the post. Finish the sentence, hit publish, share the thought, upload the clip. Take the shot, even if your hand is shaking, press the damn button, and then do it again tomorrow, and the next day, and the next, because done beats perfect every time, every single time. It builds speed. It builds trust. It builds reputation. You want to know what separates those who win from those who dream. One group executes, the other edits forever. One group posts the video, the other saves it to their phone and lets it rot there. You don't need 100 polished videos. You need one brave one. You don't need 30 hours of editing. You need 30 seconds of courage. And once you post it, you'll realize it wasn't as bad as you thought. It wasn't as scary. It didn't have to be perfect. It just had to be yours. The world's full of perfect posts that no one remembers. But the raw, honest, imperfect, courageous ones, those are the ones that stick, that matter, that move people, that leave longer than likes and shares, that build legacy. So let go of perfection, let go of control, let go of the fear that your next post defines your worth. It doesn't. Your worth isn't tied to performance. It's tied to presence. Show up flawed, show up unready, show up anyway, because the world will never be moved by what you almost posted. Only by what you do. So the next time you find yourself waiting for it to be perfect, remind yourself, done is better. Every time, because done moves you forward, and forward is where greatness lies. You don't need to be great to start, but you do need to start to become great. Everybody wants to be the best, but no one wants to be bad first. No one wants to be the rookie, the beginner, the one who's figuring it out while everyone else is faking polish. But let me tell you something the successful ones know, the ones who actually build something real, something massive, something unforgettable. They all started crappy. Every single one of them. Their first videos were awkward, their first posts were clunky, their first captions were messy, their delivery off, their timing weak, their confidence wavering, but you know what they had. The guts to post it anyway, to start messy, to start imperfectly, to start before they were ready, and that made all the difference. See, the people who make it, the ones with massive platforms, explosive growth, unstoppable presence, they didn't wait until everything was in place. They didn't sit back until their equipment was professional or their voice was fully polished. They didn't spend months over-editing their every move. They didn't care about looking good, they cared about getting better. They posted, they showed up, they learned in front of the world, and because they were willing to look bad, they got good, fast. That's what starting crappy does for you. It gives you the opportunity to improve. You can't evolve a draft you never wrote. You can't fix a post you never shared. You can't adjust a message that never left your head. The growth you're searching for, the confidence, the impact, the reach, it doesn't happen in your mind. It happens in the arena, when you get in the game, when you take the hit, when you feel the sting of imperfection and you keep going anyway. You keep waiting to feel ready, to feel qualified, to feel polished. But let me ask you this, when's the last time you felt completely ready for something that truly changed your life? You weren't ready when you took your first step, or spoke your first words, or walked into your first job. You weren't ready when life challenged you. You became ready because you had to. You figured it out in real time, and you know what? That's exactly how this works. You post a video and cringe at your voice, good. That means you're in motion. You write a caption that doesn't hit the way you wanted it to, good. That means you're one rep closer. You film a reel and halfway through you forget what you're saying and just finish anyway, good. That means you're building grit, because if you wait to be great, you'll never do anything. But if you start crappy and improve fast, you'll own the game. The first time you post, it's gonna suck. Say it with me, it's gonna suck. But that's the price of entry. That's how you get in. That's how you learn. That's how you build muscle. You wouldn't walk into a gym for the first time and expect to bench 3 plates. So why do you expect to go viral when you've never even shown up consistently yet? Why do you expect to have presence and power and flow when you've posted 3 times in the last 6 months? Greatness isn't inherited, it's earned, and it's earned through volume, through effort, through trial. Through embarrassment, through courage. You want 1 million followers, but you don't want to post 100 crappy videos first. You want a polished brand, but you don't want to sound awkward for the first month. You want people to trust you, to listen to you, to believe in you, but you're not even willing to show them the real you. That doesn't work. This game doesn't reward perfection. It rewards persistence. It rewards boldness. It rewards those who aren't afraid to look stupid, because those people grow fast. They figure it out at a pace that leaves everyone else behind because they're taking action. They're not tweaking. They're not debating. They're not thinking about it. They're doing it. You think successful people never doubted themselves. You think the top creators never posted something and thought that was trash. Of course they did, but they didn't stop. They didn't shrink. They didn't wait for permission. They knew that the only way to get better was to keep showing up. Not to get it perfect, but to get it done. To build the habit. To become the type of person who finishes things, who shares boldly, who embraces the messy middle instead of running from it. And what happens when you start messy and keep showing up? You improve rapidly because the pressure's gone. You're not trapped by perfection anymore. You're free to try things, to experiment, to get feedback, to adjust. That's how real mastery is built, through speed of iteration, through fast failure and fast course correction. Not through hiding, not through polishing forever, through shipping. That's the formula. Start crappy, improve quickly, start messy, adjust fast, start unsure. Adapt with every step, because you can't grow what you don't build, and you can't build what you never start. You think you're protecting your brand by waiting, but you're killing it, because the brand isn't built by perfection. It's built by repetition. People follow those who are present, not perfect. They want to know you're real, that you're learning, that you're like them. They want to grow with you, but they can't do that if you're silent. Your hesitation isn't humility, it's fear, and fear kills dreams. Fear convinces you that it's better to wait until it's right than to risk looking wrong. But the truth is, there's nothing wrong with being a beginner. There's nothing wrong with being awkward. There's nothing wrong with figuring it out as you go. That's not failure, that's process. That's how every powerful brand you admire was born, through thousands of bad takes. Through painful posts, through growth in front of an audience, and you know what? That's exactly what creates loyalty. That's what builds trust. When people see you start rough and they watch you get better, that journey becomes the story. Your evolution becomes the magnet. They root for you because they saw where you started. They remember when you were unsure. They remember when your camera was shaky and your lighting was bad and your message was raw. And they watched you rise. That's connection. That's influence. That's legacy. But none of that happens if you don't start. So whatever you've been putting off, start it, record it, post it, launch it, publish it today, not tomorrow, not next week, not when I feel better. And now, post that first reel even if it's awkward. Publish that story even if it's unpolished. Start that channel even if your intro feels stiff. Because every time you press publish, you punch fear in the face. And every time you punch fear in the face, you build freedom. Most people won't do this. They'll keep waiting. They'll keep polishing. They'll keep talking about what they plan to do. They'll stay stuck in their heads while the world moves on. Don't be one of them. Be one of the rare ones. Be one of the few who's brave enough to look bad so they can become great. And here's the truth. Starting crappy doesn't mean staying crappy. You're not giving yourself a life sentence. You're giving yourself permission. Permission to grow. Permission to evolve. Permission to begin. And once you begin, you start collecting reps. And reps build skill. Reps build flow. Reps build presence. The very thing you think you need in order to start is the very thing you only get by starting. So go, speak, create, record, mess up, misspeak, forget the line, laugh awkwardly, keep going, post it, learn, fix it next time, post again, do it again and again, until it gets smoother, until it gets sharper. Until one day you look back and realize you're a machine now, a force, a brand, a voice, because you were willing to suck at first. This isn't about perfection, it's about ownership, owning your voice. Owning your process, owning your evolution, that's what real creators do. They don't fake polish, they embrace process, they grow publicly, they let the journey become the brand, they start crappy, and they improve quickly. You are not behind, you are not late. You're just one decision away from progress, and it starts the moment you let go of how good it needs to be and choose to begin instead. So do it scared, do it messy, do it anyway, because what you start today, imperfect as it is going to change your life tomorrow. You keep waiting for confidence. You keep waiting for that magical feeling, the moment you'll finally believe in yourself, finally feel certain, finally stop doubting, finally take the shot. But that moment never comes, does it? Not the way you want. Not wrapped in clarity, not with fanfare, not with an announcement from the sky, because confidence doesn't come before action. It comes from action. And not perfect action, not polished action, not flawless execution. It comes from messy, imperfect, awkward, unsure, real, raw action, the kind that scares you, the kind that makes your hands shake, the kind that you second. Guess right up until you hit publish, say the words, make the move, and do it anyway. Confidence is built like a muscle. It's earned through reps, through the decision to move while uncertain, through the decision to speak while nervous, through the decision to act while doubting. Confidence isn't about having no fear, it's about doing it despite the fear. And every time you take imperfect action, every time you step forward without everything figured out, every time you choose movement over mental debate, you strengthen the muscle. You become more powerful. You begin to trust yourself, because it's not about always knowing what to do, it's about knowing that you'll show up no matter what. That's the game changer. That's the switch that flips your life upside down. That's what turns hesitation into momentum. You're not supposed to have confidence before the action. That's not how this works. You're not broken. You're not lost. You're just stuck in a lie. The lie that says you have to feel ready before you move. No, you move first. You go scared. You go unsure. You go sloppy. And the very act of doing what you were afraid to do, that's what starts to build belief. Think back. Every single time you did something that changed your life, you weren't confident. You weren't 100% sure. You probably weren't even 70% sure. You just moved. You just took the leap. You applied. You showed up. You tried. And the moment you did, you felt something shift, something come alive. That was the spark. That was self-respect growing inside you, not because you crushed it, but because you had the guts to show up imperfectly. The greatest confidence on this planet doesn't come from success. It comes from resilience, from knowing you can act in uncertainty and still rise, from proving to yourself that you don't need a guarantee to move, that your courage is stronger than your doubt, that your faith is louder than your fear. And you only get that kind of power when you stop trying to be perfect and start taking imperfect action every day. Most people will never understand this. They'll sit and wait. Wait for the plan to be clear. Wait for the fear to go away. Wait for the exact moment to strike. And they'll die waiting because the perfect moment never shows up. It doesn't exist. That version of you you're dreaming about, the bold one, the influential one, the unstoppable one, that version is buried underneath decisions you're too scared to make. You want to be that person. Start acting like them now, not when it's easy, not when you're certain, not when you've mapped out every possible outcome, right now, with all the doubt, with all the fear, with all the imperfection. Because that's what confident people do. They don't wait for guarantees. They don't need certainty. They've trained their nervous systems to respond to fear with movement. That's the secret. They condition courage. And the way you condition courage is through repeated, imperfect action. You make the call even though your voice shakes. You post the video even though your hands sweat. You speak the truth even though your throat tightens. You don't wait until you're bulletproof. You move while you're vulnerable. That's what makes you dangerous. That's what makes you magnetic. That's what builds unshakable belief. Your problem isn't lack of potential. It's lack of motion. You've got the fire, you've got the voice, you've got the hunger, but you're paralyzed by the illusion of perfection, and it's killing your progress, killing your confidence, killing your impact. You don't need more time. You need more action. Fast, fearless, flawed action. Because the reps you're skipping in favor of waiting, those are the reps that would change your life. You want to know why the confident people you admire walk the way they do, speak the way they do, move the way they do. It's not because they never feel fear. It's because they've learned how to move anyway. And every time they do, that muscle gets stronger. That belief in self multiplies. That internal voice gets louder, not because they hit every shot, but because they took the shot. The real power isn't in perfection, it's in proof. Every imperfect action you take is proof. Proof that you are courageous. Proof that you are resilient. Proof that you can feel the fear and move anyway. And that proof stacks. Over time, it becomes your identity. And identity is the foundation of true confidence. Because once you become the kind of person who takes action no matter what, you're unstoppable. Most people never get there because they're waiting for the magic formula. But let me give it to you plain and simple. You act, you learn, you adjust, you repeat. That's it. You record the video, it sucks. Great, you post it. You write the caption. It feels weird. Great, you share it. You take the meeting, you ramble. Great, you showed up. Because every time you act, even badly, you move forward. Every time you choose action over delay, you get better. And every time you get better, you believe more. And the more you believe, the more powerful your action becomes. It's a cycle, and it starts with one decision: to act before you're ready. The illusion of perfection is a prison. It looks beautiful from the outside, polished, shiny, pristine, but it's empty. Cold, isolated, it keeps you from life, from momentum, from becoming who you were meant to be. The real world doesn't reward the most prepared. It rewards the most committed, the ones who are willing to fail forward, to stumble with dignity, to look awkward and keep showing up anyway, because that's what leadership is. Not perfection, but relentless, consistent, imperfect action in the face of resistance. You want to build something that lasts. You want to make an impact. You want to become someone who can look in the mirror and feel pride, power, certainty, then stop waiting for the fear to go away. It's not going anywhere. The fear will still be there when you hit your 100th post. It'll still show up when you launch your brand, your business, your movement. But here's the difference: it won't own you anymore. It won't freeze you, because you'll have built something stronger, a reputation with yourself. You'll know who you are. You'll know what you're made of, and that knowing, that's confidence. You don't get there by theorizing. You don't get there by consuming more. You don't get there by sitting around visualizing your greatness. You get there by doing the work, by pressing record, by making the pitch, by having the conversation, by sharing the message, by being seen. That's the work. That's the fire. That's how you build confidence that lasts longer than applause. Because it's not based on praise, it's based on truth. The truth that you show up no matter what. So here's what I want you to do. Stop editing your courage. Stop rehearsing your power. Stop dimming your voice in the name of looking polished. And start moving. Take the leap. Make the call. Share the idea. Publish the thing, not next week. Not when the plan is clear, now, while you're afraid, while you're uncertain, while it's imperfect. Because that's how you build the confidence you've been chasing your entire life. You don't need more affirmation. You need more execution. You don't need more validation. You need more courage. And courage is built one rep at a time. So stack the reps, stack the proof, stack the wins. Even if they're small, even if no one sees them, even if they feel shaky, because those wins compound, they grow, they multiply, and eventually they become you. You're not fragile. You're powerful. You're not waiting. You're building, but the building starts when the excuses end, when you stop trying to get it perfect and finally decide to get it done, when you stop asking, "Am I ready?" and start declaring, "It's my time." You don't need to fake anything. You don't need to pretend to be someone else. You just need to act, imperfectly, boldly, now. That's how confidence is made.